Alright, it's another video of everything I watched this month. This time for August, and I started this month with Prince of Egypt. Shame this wasn't DreamWorks' first animated film. Would have been a great way to start their roster. But for real, the animation was just really good for its time, especially accompanied with a great score from Hans Zimmer. Told this biblical story really well. Probably one of the movies that I watched when I was younger, but I do not remember when I was watching it because my memory for this film was a bit foggy as I was watching it. I remembered some scenes, I didn't remember a couple. But aside from that, it's crazy how they got an absolutely star-studded cast, from Val Kilmer to Ralph Fiennes, Patrick Stewart to Michelle Pfeiffer. Just crazy, insane how DreamWorks blew the bank for this film, especially comparing it with like the budget for Toy Story at the time. I swear, completely coincidentally, I watched Exodus Gods and Kings, and this film is basically Prince of Egypt but in live action, and it's not as good. I really wanted to defend this film so much, but maybe because of my love for Christian Bale and Ridley Scott, but I noticed that I was talking about this film more negatively than positively. But my major complaint is that compared to Prince of Egypt, the Ramesses-Moses relationship is almost non-existent here. Even at the start where we see like Moses save Ramesses' life, he has no reason. That should be more of an assurance to be like, okay, this guy, he's my blood and I trust him. He should not believe what that guy told him and turn on Moses that quickly. But compared to Prince of Egypt, Moses did like way more stuff. He literally killed that guy in the open, and Ramesses still wanted him by his side. I know it's a bit unrealistic, but it just showed like the kind of relationship that they both had. But yeah. Also, this film should have been R-rated, but one thing, the stuff I liked about it is that the visuals for this film are really good. I love the punishment scenes, the way the alligators were killing each other, and it created this like domino effect. Then I wanted to watch a Clint Eastwood western, and realistically I should have watched something more like The Good, Bad, the Ugly or Unforgivable, but I watched this instead, which was Hang 'Em High. It's a revenge western as Clint Eastwood becomes like a sheriff or something. To be honest, this film came out like 50 years ago. But watching it recently and basing it off of films that were probably influenced by it, and definitely better than this. But at the time, I think that this film would have been a solid revenge story, but for now, not as much. Then I watched Judas and the Black Messiah. This film is super good, and to imagine it's actually a true life story is really upsetting. Like Keith Steinfeld and Daniel Kaluuya were really trying to one up each other in like every scene in this film. Their performances were stellar. Like these were Academy Award winning level performances. The film is also directed really well and goes far and beyond to tell this riveting story. And the end sequences still give me chills and upsets me till now. It's a 5-star film, man. You should definitely go watch it. Then the other Black history film I watched was Just Mercy, and these actors keep on cooking. Michael B. Jordan in this was definitely one of the best roles I have seen him in my life. Also, Jamie Foxx was really good in this, and man, I really felt for him. But the standout performer to me was Tim Blake. He crushed it in this. Overall, as a film, besides those good performances, it's a really mixed one for me. There were a lot of stuff that was done in this film that really led up to nothing, and a lot of stuff I really enjoyed. Overall, at the end of the day, it's a low drama. If it resonates for you, you probably like it, but for me, it was just okay. Then I watched Saw. I literally just watched this film because of The Sopranos, and Christopher Moltisanti was always gassing it up. And for a debut film from an unknown director at the time, this film surprised me a lot. From getting Danny Glover to filming this film in 18 days, and considering that this film had like a super low budget, not like Paranormal Activity low, but still low. Don't get me wrong, you can tell that this film was made on the cheap. Film should not have been good as it is. I have seen a lot of clips of Saw, and obviously they always go around. So I literally spoiled this film for myself, especially that twist at the end. Like, everybody knows who Jigsaw is. But aside from that, this film is imperfect. The end felt a bit rushed. Like, they just threw away the pace and the build-up in the start and put everything like 2 times speed. And this is not a critic, but how does that guy stay on the ground for that long? Come on. Then Silver Lining Playbook must be complete recency bias, but this has to be, since I've been doing this in January, the best film I've watched all year. And it's probably going to be in my top 5 best films of all time. Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, everyone in this film is simply fantastic. Scenes with Bradley Cooper, to be fair, not just him, the scenes with just a bunch of people in a room arguing, fighting, yelling, those scenes were top tier. They're my favorite. They felt so naturally, and he engaged me as a viewer, and they were just super entertaining. I did not even realize that this film was a romance film till the end, and that's all credit to the amazing directing from David O. Russell. This guy could probably be a weirdo and a creep. We cannot deny that this guy can direct a film. He flopped to Amsterdam though, let's be honest. Another scene I loved was the final dance scene. Like, you obviously know they're gonna do what they need to do, but it's just that satisfaction. Like, it's just such an engaging film, and just got me, that scene just got me celebrating to as a viewer. And finally, this film is just a good love story. Then I watched Boogie Nights. They definitely not making this film anytime soon again. This is such a weird film. This has so many talented actors, so many big actors. It's crazy. Like, I mean, Phil Seymour Hoffman is in it, and the guy just plays a complete weirdo. My favorite character was Burt Reynolds. He just seemed cool in every scene. He did it so effortlessly. And this is like also the first Burt Reynolds film I'm ever watching, with most of my knowledge of him coming from Archer, because Archer was always saying, oh, Burt Reynolds, this guy's cool, he was an Archer. But yeah, he just delivered in this film, man. Movie was not my cup of tea though, especially in the first half. Improved in the second half a bit for me. That was where it was more interesting for me. But I really can't speak too much of this film because I felt nothing for it personally. Then I watched Eyes Wide Shut. Was conflicted about this one, especially after making this my first Stanley Kubrick film, and it couldn't hold me from the start. But after 25 minutes and I was balanced, this film was just amazing. Led to absolutely nothing, but it was just great. Tom Cruise is short, by the way, but this is just a film about him, Tom Cruise, walking around a makeshift New York doing side quests, being unfaithful and at the same time not cheating with his wife, and dodging an STD in the process. It's just a well-written nothing film, and if you want to watch something absolutely zero stakes but you still feel that sense of thriller and tension with great acting and great set designs and a whole lot of stuff going on in the background, this is the film for you. Oh, did I mention how well written this film is? It's just great. R.I.P. Stanley Kubrick though. This was his last film, and what a shame, but went out with a bang. Then I watched The Impossible. This is a movie I always wanted to watch when I was younger. Tom Holland, bro, let down by bad writing. The movie was really not so great. I think Tom Holland is amazing in it. He carried this film, which is insane. Also puts in that Ewan McGregor is in it. As a disaster movie, it got barely any disaster. They just sandwiched it in the start, and they gave us no true sense of tension and urgency. We see the hospital being overworked, which tries to balance it out, but it just wasn't enough. In my opinion, it felt calm for something that shouldn't be calm. A lot of things in the middle just dragged and was just there to fit the narrative in the end, which I spoiled for myself, so I wasn't fully invested in. Overall, they're better disaster films. Then I watched Training Day, and most of this film takes place in a day. All of that is not happening in one day. I love this film till the stuff that happens towards the end. I just hate when BS like that happens. First hour had the potential to be one of my favorite body cop films, but this film just went through a downward spiral of lazy writing, making this well-acted, Oscar-winning performance from Denzel Washington feel like an absolute waste to me. But I feel like I love this film for its performances, its cameos, its story it was trying to tell till it destroyed it. Having watched a couple of David Ayer films, it's no surprise to see that he was the writer for this film. Ethan Hawke is also good in this, but the writing killed the ability for me to enjoy or like his character. The biggest thing that annoys me about this film is why on earth does Denzel's character basically risk his life and his job for this new kid that you're picking up, thinking that he will understand the program immediately, and just like laying. And this was all happening on the first day. It's not as if like it was another day or something. This was all the first day. That's why I don't believe that this film could happen in one day. I just hate it. I hate it. Then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Blue Beetle, which I have separate videos for both. Mutant Mayhem, which I really loved. Voice acting was great. The animating style was phenomenal. And as a kid's film, I really enjoyed this film on a more mature level. It was just a really nice, fun film, especially after watching Blue Beetle a couple hours before, which I hated. Hating this film more for the fact that a review baited me with its early Rotten Tomato scores, which was just the same comic book film over again. Don't get me wrong, as I mentioned in that video, it's better than most of what DC has been releasing lately, but that is not something it should really be trying to associate itself with, especially as it's a reboot to the franchise. And just to try and prove my point, I watched The Batman, which has to be the best piece of cinema adopted from comic book in the last decade. See, I'll take that sentence I just said and I'll hold it close to my chest. No more recency bias over this whole honeymoon phase with me. I'll claim this. Robert Pattinson is the best Batman with the best film. And what makes a good protagonist is also a good antagonist. Heath Ledger was great and he's still the best villain in a live action Batman film. But Paul Dano comes in tightly close in second place. Matt Reeves just directs an amazing film with great visuals, a wonderful story, a sweet twist, accompanied by wonderful cinematography, sound, music, and visuals. The first 10 minutes of this film is just absolute cinema. But sadly, the last hour, 45 minutes knackered its pacing. Film felt a bit like a drag, but still carried a strong message at the end. Like a 9.7 out of 10, wonderful film. But I don't understand why that whole Selena being Falcon's daughter always surprises me. Like I literally watched The Long Halloween before watching this film. Initially surprised me then, and it surprised me now. And I watched Requiem for a Dream. You see, this film is amazing, a true cinematic marvel. It tells the story well and is structured really well with great cinematography, performances, directing, and visuals. Heavy on the cinematography and visuals for this film. Those were like what made this film. Ellen Bottieri had the best performance in my opinion. The way she just slowly gets crazy just from wanting fame and love and her friends' approval, and the scenes with the fridge, bro, this film is wild. Never done drugs before, and this is a film I'll definitely show my kids in future when they're older. This film is just horrific, disturbing, and used all of that to send its message, which just landed. Jared Leto, let your hand go. Just use the other one, bro. I get you addicted, but gosh, see the state of that. Then I rewatched Across the Spiderverse, and this film is just alright. Also realized in my initial review for this film, it wasn't the best. As I mentioned, I had something going on that day, so I had to rush it. So yeah, this film is still better than the original for me. Or maybe it's just because I got super excited on first viewing. The animation is great, as well as its visuals and the character designs, and also the universe designs, the way different universes have different designs, super cool. I love how they would say something and they'll have like these comic text boxes in the film explaining what they said. Noticed it a couple times in my first viewing, but in the second viewing, with the power of media controls that can pause, play, rewind, I saw like it spread across the movie, and it was super cool. Remembering loving the scenes with Miles, his universe with his family, I still do, but thought we got more than that in my initial viewing. But yeah, Spot as the bad guy was also really done well. His glow up and his opera on him just becoming more powerful, really done well. The soundtrack here again slaps, as well as the movie's sound design and the voice acting was just really amazing. Daniel Kaluuya and Oscar Isaac were just phenomenal. The twist at the end was a bit disappointed. It didn't stick as well as it did initially. It's not a thing about me knowing what was already gonna happen. I've watched movies like multiple times before, and like sometimes I still feel that ending, but like it just didn't hit the same on the second viewing. Or a really good film regardless, but I think it drops from being my favorite movie of the year. But it's a really good film still. And I watched Asteroid City, and this is my first time watching a Wes Anderson film from start to finish. I watched The Budapest Hotel like a couple years ago, but the cycle and the way I was watching that film was just horrid for me. Really don't know how to feel about this one. Best way is to quote this film: I do not understand the play.
I still don't understand the play.
Doesn't matter. Just keep telling the story.
Give me a minute for it to pick off. When it did, it's a great film. Love the visual style from Wes Anderson. I don't know if this is a Wes Anderson thing, but just the way he shoots his videos and the way it's presented is just really good. The cast is star-studded. Everyone's funny and great in this film. It's just a really nice film. Set designs was absolutely beautiful. I love the Asteroid City aesthetic. It's a film that I would definitely watch again. Then I watched No Hard Feelings, as this film was just a comedy. It's a comedy, alright. Don't really have much to say about it besides Jennifer Lawrence is super funny in this. Trying to watch more of her films, as I didn't really like her growing up, but yeah, this film it's not my favorite comedy, but it's a good film and it kept me entertained after that drag of Exodus, Gods and Kings. And finally, I watched the Kai Cenat film Global Pursuit, and honestly, I love to see that Kai Cenat made a movie, even if it's a short film. But for real, this film is just ass. Like, alright, you're not gonna expect much, you know, but just make a good and alright funny film. But this just makes me appreciate stuff I watch normally, because this writing is just not great. And some of the line deliveries, not even some, most of the line deliveries just are horrid. Like the acting is bad, as well as the fight choreography. But I'm just happy to see Kai Cenat make a movie. You don't have to take this thing seriously, honestly. It's no way as good as some other YouTube short films I've watched. This film from Kai Cenat, it's just not it. Then for TV shows, not a lot I watched this month for TV shows, but Amazon is coming to save the year for me. Can't wait for Gen V. But I'm watching Ashoka right now. I'm still yet to see the third episode, but first two were mid for me personally. Or the major problem I have with this TV show is just realizing that Ashoka, this is coming from someone that watched everything in Clone Wars, and I barely watched Rebels. I'm not a big Rebels fan, but this is just me trying to say that Ashoka might not be the best, like, she might be better as a side character than a main act. But hopefully this show grows on me though. Maybe I'll like it towards the end, maybe when it's over. But for now, like, my expectations are super low and I'm not really enjoying it. But something I am enjoying is I watched the entire first season of Young Justice. I'm late to this party, but I really love DC animated stuff, and I wanted to watch this thing earlier. And this show is just everything I love, packaged and put in a bowl, delivered to me for Christmas. For a Cartoon Network show at the time, this is just so real, going really deep into some of the character depth and aspects and exploring each different character in a different way. Thought it would be more like a villain of the week type of show, like Bakugan or something, but damn, this show really goes deep, and not just sometimes, but like most of the time and a lot. And I love how it uses like the full DC roster in full swing. It's not just doesn't show us like Lex Luthor or Bane or the Joker. Trust me, they are there, but like you see more of the smaller characters. Yes, it focuses mostly on the villains for the Young Justice, but like it's just really great. The animation for the time is it's what you expect, but also the fact that there's like no actor tying you down. You have like that unlimited animation budgets. That's just the beauty of animation, and why me personally I love DC stuff, because DC animation just slaps. But this is just a really great show, and I hope I'll get a separate video done when I'm done with the entire TV show. But yeah, that just wraps it up with everything I've watched this month. Can't really wait for September. I'm just really excited, and let me know what you thought about what I watched in August. I want to know your opinions. You'll probably hate me for some stuff like Boogie Nights and something, but this is just my opinions personally. I would love to know your opinions on what you watched last month. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.